Hi, all of us family. My name is Dani Hardy, and I'm coming to you from just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. I am so honored to get to encourage you today through this beautiful process of recounting the former faithfulness of God and remembering the forever faithfulness of God. It's so good. The best way for me to do that in this current season of my life is by shining a light on the grief that God has so faithfully walked me through and the miracle that He is now performing in my life. In January of this year, my husband and I received some devastating news. After 15 collective years of infertility and 3 miscarriages, I was receiving yet another diagnosis. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, early onset menopause, and I'm only 35, as well as a fertility rating of 0.5, when the average woman's my age is a 2.0. All of this was so hard for us to grasp because we've been trying to grow our family for the past 5 years since the birth of our daughter and all of the years that preceded that of our marriage. So this news was hard for us to take. Our doctor gave us some last-ditch effort ideas, and we just resolved to pray. We spent weeks upon weeks in prayer, and God delivered a very direct and clear word to my heart. He led me to a place of peace that surpassed my ability and understanding, and also to a place of obedience where I was resolved to do as He said, which was wait until April to make any decisions on our fertility journey. So I began to wait, and we began to continue praying. And as we did that, God kept drawing me back to a certain scripture, and that was Jeremiah 31:3. And that scripture says, "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." I was so determined to get this scripture down deep in my bones, to really believe that His love was for me, to really believe that He had drawn me with unfailing kindness, drawing me into creation and then drawing me unto Himself. And it was hard because I felt unseen. I felt overlooked, and I felt as though the desires of my heart were insignificant and maybe even selfish, and I just felt unnoticed. I was desperate to believe that His unfailing love was really for me, and so I kept clinging to this scripture, and I waited until April. And in April, I got to spend a few days in Colorado with the women of Camp Well, and in those mountains, God did a sanctifying work in my heart, and I left there believing that His love was really for me. And in those days, my treasured friend, Rachel Wade, who's the lead encourager here at All of Us, she put her hand upon my stomach and prayed for my womb, that there would be life. She prayed with faith and courage and assurance in a miracle-working God. And in those moments, I just remember praying, "God, whatever You have for me, whether it's this or something else, all I want is what You have." And I left there knowing above anything else that God loved me. And I left there knowing that no matter what He did or didn't do on my behalf, that He was enough. I left knowing that He was sufficient. I fell in love again with His face before He ever revealed to me what was in His hands. Then a few weeks after returning from Camp Well, we found out we were pregnant, carrying our 5th child. And we prayed so hard that this would be the child that we would hold in our arms, a sibling for our daughter, an answer to prayers that we had prayed and so many had prayed on our behalf. And after so many tests and lots of ultrasounds, we found out we were carrying a healthy, growing baby girl. Our doctor has often told us through her tear-soaked mask, she's a believer, and she's told us, "There's no scientific reason for why you are pregnant. Only God could do this." And we believe that to be so. We believe that He has given us a miracle so that we can tell this story of His faithfulness. And those passages in Jeremiah that my weary heart was underlining and memorizing and clinging so tightly to in those months of waiting, which had been preceded by years of waiting, those scriptures were making fertile the soil of my soul, so that when God performed this miracle, I would be determined that he got all of the glory. I want to share a few of those verses with you today, and they're from the chapters of Jeremiah 31, 32, and 33. And in Jeremiah 31:25, it says, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. Jeremiah 32:17 says, O sovereign Lord, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. And then Jeremiah 33:26 says, I will restore their fortunes and have compassion on them. These scriptures are based on the prophecies of Jeremiah, which are based on the promises of a faithful God. So I want to say to you today, wherever you are and whatever you're facing, whatever you're longing for, and in whatever posture you're waiting in, there is hope and joy and certainty in the person of Jesus Christ, because he alone is worthy. The God who is faithful beyond compare and who never wavers in his love for us, he is longing to restore to you the joy and the peace and the hope that your circumstances have attempted to destroy. Now, that may or may not come from receiving the blessing that you are hoping for and waiting on, but it will certainly come through the person of Jesus Christ. One thing that I've learned, and it's been hard to learn through all of these years of waiting and the grief of miscarriage and now the receiving of a miracle, is that God's goodness does not obligate him to give us what we think is good. But his love for us always gives us what is best. He is the God who loves you. He is the God who sees you. He is the God who makes a way through the wilderness. He is the God who never forsakes, never leaves, and never loses sight of us. He is the God who never faces an impossibility, because nothing is impossible with him. He is the God who is above all things and through whom all things hold together. He is the God who is for you. He is for you, friend. I pray that my recounting of his faithfulness allows you to remember where he's been faithful in your life, because there is somewhere where he has shown you his faithfulness, and I pray that you can remember that. And I pray that through your own remembering, you are determined to stay resolute in your belief in him, no matter what comes your way. May we be those people. And I want you to know, I'm cheering you on as you seek to remember his great love for you. Love you, friends.